scams.
So there's
Okay,
still time to be a hobo.
Bucket list.
Brent is not going to be with us this morning. He is off on an adventure, so I am hosting as well as providing music for us today. It's that time for us to get started. Sylvia has asked me to play I Walk Today Where Jesus Walked. Some of you will know that, some of you may not. I believe it's hymn, I forgot to memorize the number, 232 maybe in Sing Joyfully.
And we're not hearing that.
She's not hearing it. So you have
I am.
We hear it.
oh, everybody but Sylvia hears it.
Oh, okay.
I thought-
Well, then go ahead. I'm so sorry.
It's on. I hit the button.
Okay.
Sorry.
I told Sylvia yesterday when she told me what she wanted me to play that, yes, today was Palm Sunday, but it's also Dad's Sunday. I cannot hear that song without hearing her and Dave's dad sing it. And the song that she wants me to play at the end, it was one of my dad's favorites. Yeah, so welcome to Dad's Sunday at West Newton. It's good to see all of you here. In terms of announcements, we have the Midwest Region Women's Group coming up on Tuesday in Carmel. Then on Wednesday, we have just our West Newton group. And Wednesday evening, we have a monthly meeting for business. So oftentimes we don't have announcements, but this week we have quite a few things going on. Are there other announcements that anybody needs to make? How about joys and concerns to share today?
I have one. This is the first day I've been able to give myself a sponge bath without my back being in extreme pain. And I am transitioning from my walker to a cane.
That's wonderful news, Sue. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful.
I have a concern. My daughter took her two youngest to the doctor the other day, and they're like 2 and 4 years old, and they've had strep throat many times and ear infections and tubes in their ears. And anyway, she texted me afterwards and said, boy, that was quite a visit. 3 surgeries are scheduled. So one for tonsils and adenoids, one child, and then later on in the summer, that same child will have holes in her eardrums repaired, where they have to do skin grafts. And then the third one, well, she's just getting her tubes out, but she also has some kind of a lymph node that's hardened on her clavicle, and they're concerned about that, so they're following that real closely. So I'd like to keep my grandkids in prayer, our grandkids.
What are their names?
They live about,
No, what are their names?
their names, Lucy and Mari, 2 and 4 years old.
Well, let's hold these concerns in our hearts as we go into prayer. And then Sylvia is leading meeting this morning, so she will speak out of the silence as she feels led.
Morning, friends. A year ago, when Dan and I were in Belize at this time of year and staying in his house on the campus of a Mennonite-supported school for deaf children, he built that house about 20 years ago, we were involved in the preparation for the Easter program. Dan had a part in a skit about being stuck in sin, but don't worry, in the end, he was forgiven and released from it, and he's living a good life. I was extra busy that week making costumes, sewing at the sewing machine for both students and adults who were to act out the Easter story in drama, and it's quite interesting when it's in sign language, when it's a silent drama. But it was a very powerful experience for all of us. About 200 people came to that program, and that included parents of the students and several of the Mennonite community members, many who have been engaged at the school for several years by being board members or on the teaching staff or were former students. Of course, as we were getting ready for that program, I constantly thought of how we used to do things at the Decatur Township Sunrise Service. For those of you without the history of that, the Easter Sunrise Service was a collaborative effort of several churches in the West Newton community, but it was driven and directed by Betty Fields, who was our own West Newton Friends choir director for over 50 years, which is the reason so many of us participated in it. She was really good at twisting arms. Anyway, it was precious to us. And as we were getting ready for the Easter program in Belize, I remembered how as children, we got to wave palm branches as we welcomed Jesus as he made his triumphal entrance into Jerusalem. Someone probably had spent a lot of money to buy those palm branches because there aren't many palm branches in Indiana. But in Belize, they are plentiful and accessible right outside our kitchen door. It was a sweet surprise for me to see how the backdrop of the school's Easter drama was created by the young men on the staff who hung palm branches across the back wall as a curtain. I thought it was wonderful. So today is what the Christians of the world commemorate as Palm Sunday. I will not be telling you the story of that event because you probably know it well by now, but rather I would like to focus on a conversation that took place just prior to Jesus going to Jerusalem. The narrative of this conversation can be found in Matthew chapter 20, and I will read that to you in a minute, but first it might be helpful for me to summarize a paragraph titled The Supper of Our Lord, which is in the Western Yearly Meeting, Faith and Practice, page 85. Basically, that paragraph says, Jesus often berated his disciples for accepting literally the stories of the Bible that he told them. He told the stories with the intention of relaying only the spiritual meaning of them. In his parables, he often used symbols or metaphors that were meant to be received in the light of the spiritual truth. The old covenant was full of, Jesus said, the words that I speak unto you are spirit and they are life. The old covenant was full of ceremonial symbols. The new covenant to which Jesus alluded at the Last Supper was not according to the old covenant. The eating of his body and the drinking of his blood cannot be an outward act. The presence of Christ with his church is not designed to be by symbol or representation, but in the real communication with his Holy Spirit. And that's what our faith and practice says. Now this from Matthew 20, verses 17 to 28. Now as Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside and said to them, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will turn him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the third day, he will be raised to life. Then the mother of James and John, and this is parentheses, who were likely cousins of Jesus, the mother of James and John came to Jesus and kneeling down asked a favor of him. What is it you want? Jesus asked. She said, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at the left in your kingdom. You don't know what you are asking, Jesus said to them. Can you drink the cup that I am going to drink? We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at the right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father." When the other 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be the servant, but to serve. Did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve." Henri Nouwen wrote a 100-page book on the meaning of "Can you drink the cup?" This is the book. I got it from the West Newton Friends Library when we were cleaning it out. And I noticed that this book was checked out by Viola Bangle, Miriam Mills, Ruth Alber, and Paul Fox. Just thought that was kind of a fun review. Henri Nouwen was born in the Netherlands in 1932. He became a Catholic priest and then a professor and a theologian and a writer. He spent nearly 2 decades teaching at the University of Notre Dame and in Harvard and Yale divinity schools. He was primarily interested in psychology, pastoral ministry, social justice, and community. Then he gave up those highly respected positions at the height of his popularity and went to work with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities at Daybreak Community in Ontario, Canada. I personally admire Henri Nouwen for moving from the theoretical world of theology to the practical applications of ministry. He died in 1996 at the age of 64. In his book, in this little book, "Can You Drink the Cup?" there are 3 parts which he relates to what he learned about drinking wine when he was a child observing an uncle. Holding the cup, lifting the cup, and drinking the cup. I'd like to share with you some key points of each section to see if it helps us understand what response Jesus was looking for when he asked James and John the question, "Can you drink the cup?" Part 1 is holding the cup. Henri says that drinking wine is more than just drinking. And those of you who know me well are probably laughing about me talking about how to drink wine. But Henri says one must pay attention to what you are drinking, such as the sweetness, the acidity, the intensity of the flavor, and the aftertaste. And you must be able to talk about it with those you are with. In other words, just swallowing a gulp of it is not enough. Just going day by day with our routines, collecting our paycheck and taking care of our own needs is not enough in God's kingdom. We must know what and who we are living for and be able to talk about it. Do we recognize the depths of the sorrows of our own lives as well as the joys? Nouwen says that holding the cup means we look critically at the life we are living. This requires great courage because when we start looking, we might be terrified by what we see. Questions, doubts, and fears may emerge from unexpected places within us. We may have lost our vision and our direction. When we drink the cup without holding it for a time first, we may find that our impulses have led us in some wrong directions. We must restrain our temptation to gulp it down. Rather, we should put both our hands around the cup and ask ourselves, what have I been given to drink? What is in this cup? Is it safe? Is it good for me? Will it bring me good health? And we have to hold our own cup and dare to say, this is my life, the life that was given to me, and it is this life I have to live as well as I can. I must make my own choices about how to live. Nouwen describes some of the sorrow he saw in the people of the Daybreak community of disabled adults with whom he lived and worked for 9 years. He saw the sorrow in their families. And while he was looking at the sorrow of others, he was more able to define the disappointments of his own life. He then compared his sorrows to those he saw in the city of Toronto, then in the sorrows of the whole country, and then around the world, and found himself asking, whose sorrows are these? These humans who are suffering throughout the world. Jesus had asked his friends, can you drink the cup that I am going to drink? And when they answered yes, they had no idea what he was talking about. Jesus's cup is the cup of sorrow, not just his own, but the sorrow of the whole human race. It is the cup of physical, mental, and spiritual anguish. It is the cup of starvation, torture, loneliness, rejection, abandonment, and immense anguish. What anguish do you hold in your own cup? But our cups hold joy too. Henri Nouwen discovered that the relationships he was building with the people he cared for at Dayspring brought him great joy. When he learned how to communicate with a man named Adam who couldn't even speak or walk, and to which he dedicated this book, Henri was able to laugh with Adam, cry with him, pray, and celebrate with him. And there were many others in the community who became a fulfilling part of Henri Nouwen's life. What surprise joys do you hold in your cup? Are they relationships or things? Part 2 is lifting the cup. Henri Nouwen describes the manners and traditions that were practiced and expected at his own family table. He writes, no one in our family would ever drink from his or her glass before everyone had been served, and before my father had lifted up his glass, looked at each of us, spoken a word of welcome, and emphasized the uniqueness of the occasion. Then with his glass, he touched my mother's glass and the glasses of his guests, and then he took a sip. It always was a solemn and important moment, a moment with a sacred quality. Lifting up the cup is an invitation to affirm and celebrate life together with others. As we lift our cup of life and look each other in the eyes, we say, let's not be anxious or afraid. Let's hold our cups together and greet each other. Let us not hesitate to acknowledge the reality of our lives and encourage each other to be grateful for the gifts we have received. Some languages differ a little from the words spoken to each other when lifting the cup, but in Hebrew, L'chaim means to life. When we lift the cup to life, to affirm our life together and celebrate, it is a gift from God. When each of us can hold firm our own cup with its many sorrows and joys, claiming it as our unique life, then we can lift it up for others to see and encourage them to lift up their lives as well. And in proclaiming that we support each other in our common journey, we can create a community. Do we have a circle of trustworthy friends with which we can feel safe enough to be intimately known and called to a greater maturity? I'd like to think that West Newton Friends is that community for me. When we lift our cups and say to life, we should be talking about real lives, not only hard, painful, sorrowful lives, but also lives so full of joy that celebration becomes a spontaneous response. When we lift our cup to life, we must dare say, I am grateful for all that has happened to me and led me to this moment. This gratitude, which embraces all of our past, is what makes our life a true gift for others, because this gratitude erases bitterness, resentments, regret, and revenge, as well as all jealousies and rivalries. It transforms our past into a fruitful gift for the future and makes our life, of all of it, into a life that gives a life. Part 3, drinking the cup. Henri Nouwen says, "The cup that we hold and lift, we must drink." Drinking the cup of life is fully accepting and internalizing our own unique existence with all its sorrows and joys. It is not easy to do this. For a long time, we might not feel capable of accepting our own life. We might keep fighting it for a better or at least a different life. Often, a deep protest against our fate rises within us. We didn't choose our country, our parents, the color of our skin, our sexual orientation. We didn't even choose our character, intelligence, physical appearance, or mannerisms. Sometimes we want to do every possible thing to change the circumstances of our life. Jesus drank the cup of his life. He experienced praise, adulation, admiration, and immense popularity. But he also experienced rejection, ridicule, and mass hatred. At one moment, people shouted, "Hosanna." A few days later, they yelled, "Crucify him." Jesus took it all in, not as a hero adored and then vilified, but as one who had come to fulfill a mission and who kept his focus on that mission, whatever the responses were. And he responded with sympathy, kindness, honesty, love, and trust in the people he encountered. He even treated his enemies with love and tried to heal them, as demonstrated when he told Peter to put away his sword and then he healed the soldier's ear. Jesus knew deep within himself that he had to drink the cup to accomplish the work of his Father, the work that his Father had given him. So when we drink the cup, we are saying yes to the work the Father has given us. Does he require perfection? No. Does he let us come back to it if we've gone astray? Yes. Is he there to talk things over with him when we need to? Yes. Does he make available to us a community of people who will walk the journey with us? Yes. Does he still need us when we're old? Yes. Is there still a cup in the cabinet waiting for me? Yes, I believe so. Lynn's going to play "Are Ye Able," said the Master, and I'm going to read the words of the verses. "Are ye able," said the Master, "to be crucified with me?" "Yea," the sturdy dreamers answered, "to the death we follow thee." "Are you able to remember when a thief lifts up his eyes that his pardoned soul is worthy of a place in paradise? Are ye able, when the shadows close round you with a sod, to believe that spirit triumphs, to commend your soul to God? Are ye able, still the Master whispers down eternity, and heroic spirits answer, now as then in Galilee, Lord, we are able, our spirits are thine. Remold them, make us like thee divine. Thy guiding radiance above us shall be a beacon to God, to love and loyalty.
We've reached the time when some of us need to leave and go other places, and we wish you Godspeed and look forward to seeing you next week. And the rest of us can remain here in open worship for a while longer.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Sylvia. It's good to see everyone.
If all hearts are clear, we'll bring meeting to a close. It's good to see everybody today.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
God willing.
That's right. Let's see, I've got to stop the recording. Where's that? There we go. Oh, hit the wrong button.